Hey guys, RagingRaptor and welcome to a new World of Tanks video. And today we have some more informations from the 2018 Wargaming Fest, and those are quite interesting informations, and we'll might be here for some time and talk about it for some time, because we also have some predictions to do, because that's how I roll, that's how RagingRaptor does it. And yes, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas time. Sorry that I didn't do a video about that, but yeah, hope it was wonderful for you guys. And yes, the first snippet of information is that premium tanks for bonds are planned for introduction next year. Vehicles which are in the game but are not available for purchase normally will be sold. The list encompasses, I don't know, gift vehicles and those which were removed from tech trees. If you're new to the channel, I'm sorry if I sometimes butcher different words or so. I'm from Switzerland, meaning English is not my main language. But, well, YouTube is one of my main reasons, or main, how should I say, main ways to learn English better for my advanced and maybe even proficiency certificate. Anyway, this is an amazing news, to be honest, that they are willing to sell, in quotation marks, tanks for bonds, or rather premium tanks. I have to say though, that you need to be careful about that. I think it won't be premium tanks per se, but more tanks which are special, meaning that they're just used for crew training and not fully fledged premium tanks, which, well, you could buy. And yeah, I personally think that for something like the Aufklärungspanzer 5 or 5 really has a huge chance to be in that list. Not only is it one of those vehicles which is in the game for quite some time, and I also want to quickly talk about the second thing, because this is also where the Aufklärungspanzer 5 could come in handy. In December 2019, another iteration of the Veterans program will be held, just like in the one which gave the T-52 to veterans this year. So, once again, the Aufklärungspanzer 5 could be a candidate for that. Why exactly? Because it's a tank which veterans or different people love to play and like to play, and I am one of them. As you can see, I'm playing on the youuuu class. I didn't play it for some time at the moment. And let's see if it's still in the stats over here. We have to scroll down a little bit to tier 7, because that's where it used to be. And even though I sadly only played 66 games of this magnificent beast, I rocked and rolled in it. I love this vehicle and I would love to see it to be back into the game. It's an amazing vehicle, and to be honest, already playing the T-52, and I have to say, yeah, the T-52 is also a really great tank, and I'm pretty happy that they brought it back into the game, especially for the veterans, especially with the old SD skin, or how it used to look, which is amazing. But yeah, the Aufklärungspanzer 5 is definitely a candidate for something like this program. Other than that, during my German video, also had a look at different vehicles which were removed or never been sold. So things like the WZ-120 GFT could be perfectly fine for that. Basically, it's just a worse Jag Tiger. It's faster than a Jag Tiger, probably a little bit more stealthy, but overall it has worse DPM, worse accuracy, worse penetration, except for gold shells. So yeah, and definitely worse armor. As you can see, 150 millimeters in almost no angle at all, and only 6 degrees of negative, or 6 degrees of gun depression, meaning you can see you probably get a maximum of 200 millimeters of effective armor, which is pretty bad, and you should not play for it. On tier 8, maybe things like the youuuu 130 could be sold, which I personally doubt though, because this tank was given out to people which, well, played this, which I think were really important persons to wargaming itself, like Sifom or Silfom, I think was his name called. I'm not entirely sure. He had it. It's a pretty rare tank, especially on the youuuu cluster. I'm not even sure if there are even people which are playing the tank right now. We might be able to find or have a quick look at it. Maybe it is a UDSSR on tier 8 as a checked Panzer. Well, 23 players have the tank on the EU cluster. That's not a lot. And you can see even only one has the KV4 KTTS. Speaking of the KV4 KTTS, I have high doubts, not high doubts, I have high hopes, also Panic at the Disco, that this tank might be coming as one of those vehicles. It's never been sold, it's in the game file for ages and ages, and yet it looks so majestic. Like, this tank is something I want to have get my hands on and play. I was able to play it in a training room because I had a Silver League account for a while. It was just so funny to just roll around with it. It's actually not that slow. It's actually pretty speedy for such a heavily armored vehicle, and I would love to see this tank being sold finally in this bonds shop or something. Other than that, there might be chances that they're going to sell lower tier vehicles, something like the Panzerkampfwagen 5-4 or something like the Panzerkampfwagen 4 Hydrostat, which I doubt though. Not only was this a beta tank, which you could buy back in a beta, and it's pretty overpowered right now after they buffed it. We can even try to have a look at his stats as well. Just going to change it to Deutschland, which obviously is Germany. And medium tanks, and actually no, interesting enough, the people which played are bad. 53% with the alpha version and 50% average win rate with the normal version, but you can see only 4,000 players have it and the average games are 200. So yes, it's definitely in the hands of a skilled player. This tank is mad. It's a mad tank to play. A friend of mine constantly aces this tank and easily free marked it. It's so fucking amazing, he said. It's like, it's a dream. Then other tank, again, as I said, the Hydrostat, which I doubt though, because this tank is most likely sold with the mouse bundle of World of Tanks. It's actually not that good either, what I heard at least, or in a €100 bundle. The same goes to tanks like the BTSV or other low-tier tanks like the A42, which is actually pretty atrocious with the 66mm of penetration, which probably sees tier 4-5 tanks, I'm not entirely sure. But those tanks never really get sold because they're either too overpowered or they're just getting sold in those hugely overpriced bundles, like the BTSV gets sold in a €100 bundle. Well, it's not really €100 or $100. It's just like you get the gold for €100 and you get this tank on top, but it's the only ways to get this tank. Same goes with this tank right here. So yeah, I highly doubt that they're going to put those tanks in it, but who knows? We could see, maybe not. Actually retarded how strong this tank is, like what the hell, wargaming. So, enough about what this could be, and let's go to another little thing, or the next few thing. Without positive feedback from the players, the French wheeled branch won't enter the game. To be honest, this is a big doubt. Like, I highly doubt that Wargaming is not going to introduce those vehicles. Quite simply, they already put so much work into it, finding the branch, getting the tanks modeled, giving them stats and so on and so forth. They're coming. No matter how the feedback is, probably even like 10 people are saying that they like to see these tanks and they're probably going to introduce it because that's the player feedback they wanted to hear. Selective hearing, Kappa. To be honest, so far I would like to play the tank. I was not able to play the tank. I'm not a community contributor yet. I might join the troops project for at least my German account, which means I'll have like access to it also in my English account, so we'll see. But I do think that so far they look challenging and are actually for people which are more or less skilled, because you can wreak havoc with HE. But again, you need to aim with HE and you can't just go simply herder and shoot on a move and hit everything. Next up is probably something which all of you guys will love to hear. The frontline mode will be appearing periodically in 2019. Each month for a whole week. The whole cycle will end on December with a big event, which will enable the players to get special prizes and gifts. And they already said that during the the post they made, so this is a little bit old news, but during this post there might be even chances. I think they said that there will be tanks you can get, so I have pretty high hopes that tanks like the M41D and the Emil 1951, which is basically just an Emil 1 with less shots in its clip and more side armor, could be tanks which are going to be introduced in that mode, because they're really similar to their real counterparts. As you can see, probably also a little bit faster, but it has worse DPM, a little bit faster clip speed. But again, I think that chances are high that tanks like the Emil 1951 and the M41D could be there, because they're really similar to their existing tanks, and well, they're pretty decent anyway. And maybe not the Emil 1951, because we do not have a heavy tank trainer for the Swedish tanks, so this tank could theoretically do good money for wargaming. So chances are that they're not going to give it away during this event, or maybe they just do it and say, oh, it's the first premium heavy tank for the Swedish tech tree, la-ba-di-da. We'll see. The next one is a new improved matchmaking will be tested in 2019, which is really, really important in my personal opinion. Beside the classic 357 and 510 matchmaking, there will be 4 2-tier matches, 6-9 and 7-8. To be honest, I don't really care for those, because 510 is actually a pretty decent matchmaking. On the other hand, 357 gets 4, 5, 6 and 5, 5, 5. I do think this is a lot more important. Yes, it is annoying when you are in the 555 low tier and flop tier, but it's important to notice that I'm tired and that in the end you have less tanks, or like at the moment in 357, if you're in a tier 8 tank, you're screwed over when your tier 10s are garbage, basically. And there are just 3 of them. So I think it is a little bit better that when there are 5 of them, so you have a higher chance to not get a complete potato. And it's probably less hard for you to actually carry, and maybe there are less, how should I say, people which are actively shooting you, because you're the tier 8 one and probably have troubles penetrating them before you are outskilling them. But I do think it's important that the matchmaker needs to be focused more on 2-tier matches and not on 3-tier matches. 5-10, 6-9, 7-8 sound good to me, and they should be played much more, because it's much more enjoyable when you're not constantly flop tier. During the rebuild of the system, the problem of the preferential matchmaking tanks will be held into account, so good to hear, because at the moment you are constantly low tier in them, or most of the time. And still, for example, KV5 is still atrocious, because everybody shoots through your turret anyway, even if they're not shooting gold. Then something we've already know, the British T95 FV4201 Chieftain will be the new Clan Wars campaign reward and will come in January, so huzzah for that. The first tanks which will be available for bonds will be the Foch 155, the FV215B and the FV215B 183mm. From all of those tanks, I think that the Foch 155 is the most unique one, because the 183 doesn't really is not really that different compared to the FV4005 Stage 2. Because the Stage 2, yes, it has no armor compared to the 183, but to be honest, the armor is not that amazing either. So, meh. And the 215B is just ridiculous hard to play, and well, it's in every single aspect except aim time and mobility worse than the Super Conqueror. It even has 7 degrees gun depression compared to 10, and the turret is so much worse. So, yeah, guys, you're not going to miss anything if you don't have the 183. Legit. The 215B. The 215B is, compared to the Super Conqueror, just a piece of pile of poop. Nothing else. Legit. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get it if you can, but you have a weaker turret than the Super Conqueror. Even this year is like 254 compared to the 300mm. This is 254 compared to the 300mm of the Super Conqueror. So, again, bleh. Really just bleh. I don't really like to play the tank either. See? 300mm, nice. Turret ring, 300mm. Legit, the only thing to penetrate the cupola is shooting heat or hitting the 100mm little sliver of armor. Here you have this huge little gap, so yeah, forget about it. Next up, the ammo rack capacity of the Object 261 won't be increased. The Waffenträger auf E100 isn't considered to arrive again in a game, thank God. You could see already some well-known YouTuber already did a video about this tank once again. Gotta milk those views. And another interesting thing is that a Type 5 Heavy and SPG rebalance is planned, and that's pretty important because so far we have no counter options against artillery except for camping and using your med kit prematurely. I hope that we are going to get something like cruise skills, which are lessening the stun effect or something like this. I really do hope that they're going to introduce something like that. Then Wargaming and Epic Games started cooperating. Now the smaller Wargaming studios will be able to use the company's resources. The Publisher program enables the members to hasten the creation of games and using analytical development and communication tools. Interesting, you know, Epic Games are the makers of the Epic Gaming Launcher and Fortnite, obviously Fortnite being the biggest hit in 2018. YouTube Revamp even showed it very pronounced. Even had this ninja guy which rages at flaming kids or something, I don't know. And yeah, it's a good thing, I think, because not only could Wargaming put resources in it and try to do their Battle Royale mode again, which was really fun to play. Don't get me wrong, I actually liked the mode and I played it a lot. It was really, really fun. And yes, we'll see what they're going to introduce later. And the last thing, a release of Pagan Online or Pagan Online is planned for 2019 and will be released on PC, Steam, and Wargaming Center. This game is just probably a free-to-play version of Path of Exile and Diablos Immortals, but it will be on PC and not on. Do you guys have phones? So yeah, something about World of Warships, but yeah, we are not going to talk about that because this is a World of Tanks channel. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, let me know in the comment section below. And what are your thoughts about things we've seen right here? Thank you so much for watching and have a good day on the battlefield. Bye-bye.